Happy Pi Day, which is 3.14.
Yeah.
Apparently math teachers are weird. No tie game this week because it's Spirit Week. Tomorrow is Monochrome Day where you have to dress all in one color.
I did not wear
Had no one. Oh, one person.
I will.
So nicely done, Drew. If you hit all 4 days, you get candy on Friday. So anytime you do a Spirit Week, if you hit all 4 of them, we'll hook you up. Good job with Michigan. Let's see. So Friday is dance after school. Goes after school until 5:30. Special guest DJ Sparkle Moose. That is literally me. I am not disagreeing with you. Let's see. And this was your last time getting free B points because we are now officially in the 4th 9 weeks as we transition you guys towards that big 8th grade land thing. So last time you got hall pass from me. Last time you get free B points and all of those fun things. 9 weeks grade is over here. It includes all that stuff from before, and B points is good. Michael.
Wait, don't we get free points like when we turn this in?
I mean, technically that's not free. You have to be responsible enough not to lose it.
I haven't.
For some kids, that's the most painful thing of all.
Yeah, I got.
Hi, Daru.
I haven't finished any of mine. All these courses.
It's almost responsible of you. Crazy.
I've also.
When you leave to go to locker, or if you leave to go to bathroom, again, no taking electronics with you, so just leave it underneath your desk or put it on top of desk or on my desk. It does not matter to me. It's just not supposed to go with you. Speaking of phones, had an issue where kids were unplugging other kids' phones to plug their own in. Do not do that. It is mean and a pain in the booty. If you do it, I take your phone till end of day.
What?
If it keeps happening, I am going to just take away my charger and just make it so no one can use it. So just don't be that annoying kid that unplugs others. If they're all being used and you need to charge, let me know and I'll see what I can do about getting you next on the list or something like that. But don't just go over and randomly unplug your kids because, again, it's kind of a jerk move. All right, I just took a picture of random phones. I know who those are.
I know one of them.
So the quiz that James is taking right now, I went through and took a look at it. So over all 5 of my regular classes, my question is, what do you think the average grade percentage was?
40.
95.
95. All right. We'll only go with 95. If you think the average grade for all of my classes was higher than 95, if you think it's lower than 95, or if you think 95 was dead on, that's where it is.
95 because
That's a multiple of 5.
randomly see 95.
Why didn't he did?
That's a multiple of 5, so it's not.
And
It was above.
What?
I'm not the one that picked it, he did. But yeah, the average grade was a 95% on it. So, well done. Not everyone got a 100%, but most people got pretty close to it. So then I went through and checked how many questions we did really well on. So I counted any question that we had a 98% on, which means only one kid missed it. So of the 15 questions, how many of them do you think we had almost everybody get right?
13.
13?
Yeah.
How do you remember 14?
So of the 15 questions, you're saying we got 13, every single kid got right.
No.
Not every
Yeah.
single kid. Wait, question, like the
5.
individual question.
5? That sounds more realistic. We'll give you 5.
Individual
All right.
question?
So we'll
Is that
go
right?
5. If, I don't know, you can do this one, you can't. If you say 5 is dead on, if you said we did way better than 5, or if you're saying we didn't even get close to 5, let's go with
If I get it right, then I'm back.
no 7. You were a little bit low, but not bad. The ones that everyone got right were Apollo, Demeter, Hades, Artemis, Hermes, Poseidon, and Dionysus. Yeah, I don't see Zeus up there or Hera. Those were ones that we did not do well
I got
on,
that right.
which I thought was kind of interesting.
Because
Dionysus, I didn't even officially teach you yet, and that was one that almost everybody got correct. So I thought it was interesting that you guys missed the main god, but then the one that we have not even talked about, you guys got right. So whether you like it or not, you guys are learning. Oh, and we wrap up Greek mythology next week.
What?
So we are almost done. And now James is done. Good job, James.
I don't want to.
So now he's raised our average grade to a 95.2%.
I did?
I have no idea.
Well, I
That sounds
got
like math.
I got A plus.
So in race, we had the average grade was a 95%. So
Well, I see that.
And like that's that.
with your eyeballs. We only had 3 kids go so far. So let's pick
Oh,
3
yeah.
more kids to go.
Can I go?
Quite possibly.
Can I go? Can I go?
Can I pick? Can I pick?
You are a special one.
Wait, who went?
We had Samson, Drew, and Gage go. Home children, we're going to pause it because there's no point you listening to kids talk.
Even Booty.
I'm gonna go really quick.
That was entertaining.
No, I know all of them.
So, back to our story. We finished out the Olympians last week, so now we get to move on to our next one. We did humans, but what happened to the first race of humans?
I died.
Who made the first race?
The little family.
Prometheus.
Prometheus.
Yeah.
And what 2 ingredients?
Mud.
Water and dirt.
It's just
I said it.
So, at this point, Zeus goes and talks to Prometheus, like, hey, now that I'm the new leader, we've killed off everything, I would like to have a new race of humans that we get to have again. So he goes and talks to Prometheus and says, it's time for humans 2.0. Prometheus says, I can't do it. Problem is, you have me currently setting up your new government. I can't do 2 things at once. I don't have the time. I can either set up your government or I can make people. Which one do you want? Zeus decides to keep Prometheus working on the government and he'll just get someone else to make people. He's like, if I can't get Prometheus to make people, I can get the next best thing to Prometheus. And that'd be Epimetheus. So he goes and talks to Epimetheus. He's like, hey buddy, would you be interested in not only making the new race of humans, but we kind of killed off all the animals too. Would you be interested in making all new animals while we're at it? Epimetheus is all over. He's like, great, sounds perfect, totally in for it. He goes, well, last time your brother used dirt and water and made everything out of mud, we're going to upgrade. So humans 2.0 are not made out of mud, now Play-Doh. I mean, it wasn't actually Play-Doh, but it was like this special clay that once you, it's like clay-dough, that once you, but once you make it, you throw them down to earth and then they just populate everything. So it only takes 1 and then you're good. And he goes, not only that, but all the animals died, so I'm going to have you use this same stuff with the different colors to make all of the animals out there too. Epimetheus is excited. Zeus goes, I'm not done. There's more. To try and make all these things, he brings out this special tackle box, but instead of things for fishing, all the little squares have things like claws, teeth, scales, wings, eyes that can see in the dark, really good hearing. He goes, whenever you make a creature, you can give it these special abilities, smash it into the clay, and then when you throw it down, it activates and it gets whatever that special ability is. Epimetheus, totally excited. He goes, yeah, totally on this. And he decides he's going to do a big kid thing. He goes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to practice by making animals first till I get really good at making things. Then I'm going to make people. Because practice makes less likely to screw things up. So he's excited and he starts. You good? Yeah.
Is that red?
This one? Yeah. It's supposed to be a fur coat. Or, I mean, you could put peanut butter and jelly on it, but it might be a waste of money. So he begins. He's like, all right, let's see what we can do. Reaches in, pulls out some of the green Play-Doh, rolls it in to make like a long string. He's like, ooh, takes some scales, smashes some scales onto it. That's a nice little person you've made. And then puts 2 teeth into the front of it, throws it down to earth, and makes a little snake. Where's my snake? Makes a little snake, and he's like, ooh, that's kind of fun. He's like, all right, let's try this again. So he makes another snake, and he's like, let's change this. Ooh. So he puts 4 legs on it, and then kind of smashes it a little bit, and it's like, ooh, I like that. Did you say caterpillar? Still has scales. There you go. And makes like a little type of lizard on that one, which is like a caterpillar, but slightly different. And then he's like, ooh, that was kind of neat. So let's try another one. So he's like, let's stick with my snake theme. And this time, let's make the snake into a neck. And he puts a big head on top of it, puts a body on it, and gives it like these really long legs. And he's like, we're going to switch it to... Did you say dinosaur? And then ends up... turning it into a giraffe, which is like a dinosaur, slightly different.
It's like a.
It's a high quality giraffe right there.
Looks like pizza.
Because a little kid made it. Don't be judgy. He then is like, all right, sticking with our theme again. He's like, let's take the snake, put it onto the front of like a big balloon head, and we'll give it a big balloon body, and we'll give it like tree stump legs,
Hippo.
and we're gonna put like, let's take wings and put them on the head, and nicely done. Ends up creating like a little elephant, throwing it down to earth, and the wings like, wachoo, and it flies all the way down.
Dumbo.
He's giggling and having a good time to the point where he's almost out of all the different things. He's like just throwing random stuff together. And he's like, all right, let's see, I've got a beaver tail, and I've got this weird like rat body, and I've got some like extra duck feet. We'll put a duck face on, makes a platypus.
Platypus.
And then realizes like, ooh, that's kind of embarrassing. He's like, we're just gonna hide that down in Australia, and then puts it down there. And then is excited until he realizes he forgot to do something. Make humans. And Epimetheus freaks out from him. He's like, oh no. He's like, all right. So he makes his little clay persony thing and squishes it out. He's like, I've got to give them fur so they don't freeze in the wintertime. And he reaches into a little fur bin. He's like, there's nothing in here but bread. Oh, wait. And he pulls out just a little bit of fur, and it's just enough to cover the top of the head. And he's like, well, that's not very good fur. All right, I'll give them really good claws so they can hunt things. So he goes in like a little claw area, and nothing but claw dust. He's like smears on the end of the fingers. He's like, oh, those things are kind of horrible. They're going to get manicures. All right, well, then I'll give them really good eyes so they can see in the dark when they go hunting. And he goes into the eye, and then the problem is the eyes are. He's like, well, they're going to have to wear glasses. And it turns out every time he tries to give humans a good ability, it's all used up except for the brain, which apparently he did not use on the animals very much. So he ends up giving humans a big brain, but nothing else. So because of that, humans are thought to have no special abilities because we were sort of made with leftover parts by the god of idiots. And that's why humans aren't as good as animals.
Wait, so Epimetheus made him?
He did. So at this point, Zeus has this new race of humans, and sacrificing is going to be super important to the gods. Again, we don't sacrifice humans. That's weird and cannibalistic. Instead, they only sacrifice food. It can be animals or it can be grains, but whatever it is, you would sacrifice it up to the gods. This is how you would have the gods do favors for you. The reason the gods would do favors for humans is it was their form of social media. The gods loved sacrifices because the more people who sacrificed to a god, the more popular they became. The more popular they were, the more power they had on Mount Olympus. It was frighteningly similar to social media influencers today, where the more followers you have, the more power you would have. So Zeus goes, all right, sacrificing is going to be super important. So anytime you're going to sacrifice to the gods, here's how it would work. You would take, say, a bowl of food, let's say honeycomb, because honeycomb is delicious. And if you're getting ready to enter a swim meet and you don't want to drown, who would you sacrifice to? Poseidon. And so you would take your bowl of food, and typically you would do it at night, and you would go, Poseidon, I don't want to drown. And then you would offer up your bowl of food to the gods and leave it outside. Zeus was afraid other gods would begin to outrank him and get more popular. So he comes up with a plan. Anytime you sacrifice to a god, whatever god it is, you had to pull out a small part of it and sacrifice it to the king of the gods. So if you're going to sacrifice to Poseidon for swimming, a small pinch goes over there. If you're getting ready to have your crops grow, you would sacrifice to and then a small pinch that goes over to Zeus. If you're getting ready to get into a fight, you would sacrifice to Ares, and then a small pinch over to there. So that way he always makes sure that he's going to be getting sacrifices. So let's walk you through it. Let's say that I want Joey Jojo to fall in love with me because he's totally hunky.
Athena.
Who am I going to sacrifice to?
Aphrodite.
Aphrodite.
I said the wrong one.
I know, it's so embarrassing. And so you would sacrifice up to Aphrodite, my bowl of honeycomb. And you would take your bowl of honeycomb after you said, Aphrodite, please make Joey Jojo fall in love with me. He's totally hunks. Okay. And you take your bowl of honeycomb, put it outside your house, and then shut the door. What did they forget to do? pinch, throw it over the side for Zeus. Then you shut the door. Then you would wait till the next day. Next morning you go outside, open your door and look. If the bowl is empty, that means Aphrodite has heard your prayer, and Joey Jojo better watch out because you're coming for him. If the bowl is still full, that means Aphrodite has ignored you, and Joey Jojo is not going to be your future hunk. You are out of luck. If the food is partially eaten, that means there was a chance. It means that Aphrodite was interested, but she can't guarantee anything. Problem is, did Aphrodite actually exist? No. She was make-believe God. So then, how is it the bowl could be empty sometimes?
The animals.
The animals would come to check on it. Now, they weren't complete idiots. They knew animals were coming up to eat the food, but it made sense in their religion. Why would making animals come up and eat it make sense?
Because the gods can transform into animals.
They would shapeshift. Because if Aphrodite is going to come up and eat some of your food, she's not going to come up dressed as a toga and sit on your back porch and be like, and when you open up the door, she's like, and like hissing at you. That'd be weird. So instead, she shapeshifts into a little raccoon, walks up to your back door, and as a little raccoon, sits there and eats it. That way, if you open up the door, you're like, oh, a raccoon. Now, if you went to go kick the raccoon, that'd be bad. You're like, raccoon, no! And you go to kick it, and all of a sudden, Aphrodite's like, no! And smacks your foot, and you're like, sorry, raccoon. It wasn't on purpose. It was actually got stuck in my head. I would taunt you face to face if I wanted to taunt you. That was just a mistake on my part. So because of that, that is how the whole sacrificing thing would work. You would offer up the food to the gods. So sacrifices was their version of popularity, which is going to play a role in the stories coming up, where they really focus on making sure they can have sacrificing, because Zeus wanted to be popular. Which brings us to, who was the most popular god?
Zeus.
He made sure he was the most popular god.
He's like really like so.
Yes, he is. One of his many issues. Second most popular god?
Hera.
Actually,
Aphrodite.
The meter.
it depended. It rotated throughout the year, depending on what was going on. If it was in the fall, the most popular god was?
The meter.
Because people were sacrificing. If it was June, it would be
Hera.
Hera. Ooh, middle of February?
The meter.
Aphrodite.
Nicely done again. And so
Wait, what
throughout
was
the
the
year,
other?
it would depend on if a war was happening, if we were going boating. And so it would sort of rotate from one god to the next as it went
What
through.
were the 2 seasons? Fall.
We haven't got there yet. That's coming up still.
Summer.
So
Well, I
at this
guess it's
point,
just fall and summer.
Zeus explains to humans that's one way to sacrifice. Anytime you have a favor you ask of the gods, you would just offer up a little bit of food. But if you go out hunting, anytime you kill an animal, you have to give half of it to the gods. So he brings a bunch of humans over to him and goes, all right, we're going to come up with like an agreement on how this whole thing works. So he grabs a wild cow and he goes, all right, let's say that we are going to sacrifice this cow.
Where's the meter?
Humans, you split this cow into 2 equal piles, and then I get to pick one of the piles that go to the gods and one that go to humans. Quick timeout. I have a younger sibling, a younger brother, and for those of you who do, when I was growing up, anytime that we got like a candy bar to split, being the older brother, I would break the candy bar and then have my piece and then have my brother's piece. And then I would give him his piece, and if he complained, I told him he could take up his argument here. The problem is he got my mom involved, and my mom eventually was like, all right, what we're going to do now is one of you gets to break it, and then the other one of you gets to choose who gets which part. So then I couldn't like try to abuse my brother as much. I did still find a loophole, because then I would break it so it was in 2 pieces like that, and they're like, oh no, they're not equal. Now they are, and that way I could still abuse it, because I was a bad person. That's what Zeus is doing. He's having the humans break this cow into 2 equal parts, and then he's going to choose which part humans get and which part the gods get anytime you kill an animal. So the first part they're going to do is they rip off all the cow's skin. No! And they throw it over to the side. It becomes a giant leather jacket. After your cow's skin, the next thing is going to be...
Or
That's
The head.
Say oranges?
The head.
butter.
The milk.
Kind of scared
The
me.
tail.
Milk, right?
Everything.
we're gonna go with the meat that's on the ends.
Oh, I had some last night.
Wait, did you guys not know animals were made of meat? I didn't mean to shock you.
I didn't know.
You're like, what? I was afraid this was gonna be like that dandelions thing again. You're like, what? Dandelions are the same flower? And so yeah, so the meat, after you've pulled off the skin and the meat, the next thing is
Bones.
now we're playing. Now it turns out there is a part that's between the meat and the bones,
Muscle.
What?
which is the gooey bit.
Oh, the blood. Blood.
There you go. Tomorrow we're gonna start talking about gooey bits.
The gooey bits is in the steak.
Sounds weird.